There are a lot of heartbreaking moments in Warrior Cats. Silverstream's death, Bristlefrost's death, Crooked Star losing literally everyone he ever cared about, and the mauling of Brightheart and Swift are all events that have been ranked as the most heartbreaking. Another event that's been consistently called heartbreaking is when Bluestar, then Bluefur, had to give up her kits. Bluefur had no choice. If she hadn't had left the kits, then Thistleclaw would have become deputy and countless cats would have died due to his ruthless nature. However, is it really that simple? Is it possible that Bluestar didn't need to give up her kits? Join me today and I'll try and figure out if one of the most tragic events in the series could have been prevented. Before we get started, if you're new to this channel, please think about subscribing. I regularly post both Wings of Fire and Warrior Cats content, so you'll never be bored. And to my current subscribers, thank you so much for supporting me. I wouldn't have gone here without y'all. Now without further ado, let's get on with the video. First of all, was Thistleclaw really bad enough that Bluefur needed to sacrifice her kits in order to prevent him from becoming deputy, and one day, possibly, leader? Some people say that Spotleaf's Heart butchered its character, and up until that book was written, Thistleclaw would have been a good choice. However, Thistleclaw was behaving in a negative, aggressive way long before Spotleaf's Heart was published, and Spotleaf's Heart was just an extension of his negative behavior. In my opinion, the reason why people think his behavior in the novella was so extreme is just because the novella is from the perspective of a cat who is closer to him than Bluefur was, and thus got to witness more of his dark side. However, concerning what Bluefur saw, there was still a lot of dark actions from this cat. Thistleclaw blames Bluefur for Snowfur's death because she was the one who decided for Snowfur to stretch her legs. While I understand that people can say things they don't mean in anger, Thistleclaw continued to blame Bluefur for her sister's death even moons later, despite her mourning, and you all remember how in-depth Bluefur's mourning process is. And afterwards, Thistleclaw attempted to prevent Bluefur from seeing her nephew. He then sicked his apprentice, Tigerpaw, on a kitty that barely bigger than a squirrel, who'd wandered into the territory. He would have let Tigerpaw kill him as well, if Bluefur hadn't been there. Later, he threatens Oakheart while on a border patrol and insinuates that Bluefur was having a half-clan relationship with him, which she was, but way to jump to conclusions. He also states that borders are paved in cat's blood, so that he should have just killed Oakheart, even though there was no battle going on. On top of all this, Bluefur was told by Goosefeather that Thistleclaw was a bad option for deputy. While it wasn't direct, he once told her that a thistle is thorns as sharp as claws. Don't let White Kit get hurt by them. This was proven to be right to Bluefur, as she caught Thistleclaw mocking and insulting his own son for being weak. If she couldn't trust Thistleclaw with his own kits, could she trust him with an entire clan's fate in his paws? She also had her own prophecy to worry about. Like fire you will blaze through the forest, but beware, even the most powerful flames can be killed by water. Of course, we know that the water is supposed to be taken shockingly literally, as she ends up dying due to drowning. However, it has an interesting interpretation in the case that she did not give up her kits. Bluefur involved herself in RiverClan, which is pretty obviously associated with water. If she did not give up her kits and lost her chance of deputyship, then her relationship with the cat in RiverClan would have been the water that killed her flame, or rather, her ambitions. Though this prophecy was likely not what she was consciously thinking about at the time, it is an interesting factor and something for us readers to think about. The prophecies Bluefur had gotten about Thistleclaw were clearly backed up by his behavior. Bluefur was not irrational in her belief that Thistleclaw would be bad for the clan, as some people would suggested during the earlier years of the Warrior Cats fandom. Her accounts of his behavior are backed up by many other cats in a variety of situations. Now we know that the fear that she faced was valid, but what other options did she have if she wanted the rank of deputy, besides giving up her kits as she did in canon? Instead of sending her kits over to RiverClan, Bluefur could have kept her kits within the clan. If she had time to prepare and knew that Tawny Spots was sick, she could have hid her pregnancy and left her kits near the border and organized for another warrior to find them. However, hiding a pregnancy is hard, especially when you are a cat living in the wild. The only cats who've hid their pregnancies successfully are Leafpool and Yellowfang, and both of them used herbs to cover up their milk scent, something that Bluefur would not know how to do as a warrior. It seems much more likely that in order to keep her kits in the clan, Bluefur would not temporarily abandon them and instead give up their care to another warrior. Lucky for her, there's another warrior right there. one who in canon seems far more than accepting of picking up care for Bluefur's kits, regardless of their father, Thrushpelt. Thrushpelt was in love with Bluefur. He was aware that her kits were not his, how could they be, but loved her so much that by extension, he loved her kits. He posed as the father of the kits, and other cats thought that he was their father. Even the kits themselves thought that he was their father, as Stonekit says that Runningwing said that Thrushpelt was his father, and he believed him. Thrushpelt would have been more than willing to become a nursery king, not only because he loved Bluefur, but because he loved the kits as though they were his own, and even grieved as if they were his own when they supposedly died, and after that always made sure to repair the nursery walls. However, there's one thing standing in the way of that: gender roles. Though today, we have a few Toms offering to take care of their mates' kits, such as Fernsong becoming a temporary nursery king, early in the book series, Toms rarely showed any form of attention towards their kits. Toms didn't even claim their kits most of the time, and a lot of early kits have unknown fathers due to that. Because of that, Thrushpelt becoming a nursery king would be incredibly odd. He wouldn't just be a Tom being affectionate to her kits and paying attention to them in a time that no cats were. He would be a Tom taking up a she-cat's role, which is even stranger. It could cause him to become estranged by some of his more conservative clanmates. Thrushpelt becoming the sole carer of Bluefur's kits would have reflected badly onto Bluefur as well. It would make her look petty, greedy, and overly ambitious, as she would be sacrificing her role as caretaker of the kits for a chance at becoming deputy. She'd look just as bad, if not worse, than Thistleclaw. Because of that, even if Bluefur had the idea of Thrushpelt becoming a nursery king pop into her mind, which would be unlikely due to the social climate, she would likely decide not to do that as it would sabotage her chances of becoming deputy. However, another thing that Bluefur could have done is, well, simply talk to Sunstar about it. As we know from hindsight, Sunstar already had suspicions on Thistleclaw's nature. If Bluefur presented some experiences she had with him, such as the incident with Tiger Paw that she did not report at the time despite her threats, then maybe he would have his fears confirmed by another cat and acted on them. On the other hand, it would look as though she was disparaging her fellow candidate. Bluefur also could have expressed that she would go back to being a warrior after having kits, and would not be becoming a permanent queen like many other she-cats chose to do back then. However, that could make her look anxious and desperate for deputyship and Sunstar's approval. Sunstar might not react that way though. One reason why is that he was in love with her mother, Moonflower, and that love carried over a bit for Bluefur, and as a kid, he had watched over her. The second reason is that Sunstar was Bluefur's second mentor. After Stonepelt retired, Sunstar, then Sunfall, was appointed her second mentor. Because of these two relationships, I feel as though Sunstar wouldn't have judged her automatically. The two have had a close relationship throughout their lives, and Sunstar wouldn't change his opinions on her based off of a single interaction. But still, I definitely understand why she wouldn't talk to Sunstar. Doing so would make her seem weak and insecure, and as if she needs reassurance over the slightest threat of someone else becoming deputy, and flightiness is not something that you want in a leader. Taking in all the factors in Bluefur's decision, I feel as though Bluefur made the best choice she could at the time. She had seen a clear pattern of behavior from Thistleclaw, and had been warned of him by Healer, StarClan's voice to cats. She had nowhere to run to, as even if she had thought to give her kits to Thrushpelt, it would be seen as aberrant and a cold-hearted action. So her only choice was to run across the border to her kit's father, Oakhart. And unlike the readers, Bluefur does not have the hindsight to know that talking to Sunstar would have resolved the entire situation. Because all that, I think that Bluefur needed to give up her kits in order to become deputy. Do you think that Bluefur should have or should not have given up her kits? Why? Comment down below. If you like this video, feel free to subscribe. I make Wings of Fire and Warrior Cats videos pretty often, and your support would mean a lot to me. And to those who've already subscribed, thank you for your continued support. I wouldn't have gone here without y'all. Peace, Rogan out.